Hello, one and all. It is I, the Dark One, also on a CD, and I am back with the Dark Library, and we are finally here on Volume 15 of Mushoku Tensei. So, I have to spoil a bit of Volume 14's ending to give us context for Volume 15. I mean, that's kind of what you have to do for any sequential story, but I mean big ass spoilers here. This is essentially the big shift for the series, as every chapter label breaking point or turning point should be. So, for those of you who haven't read Volume 14, major spoilers, but here we go. Volume 14's ending. So after settling in from his last adventure, Rudy finds himself meeting his future self, an older version of himself appearing to him in a secret basement that he constructed in his house to basically put up his wife's panties. It makes sense when you read it. Anyway, he gives Rudy a message to not trust Man God, before passing along and leaving behind a ragged diary foretelling a doomed future. Interesting note is that Rudy was planning to write his own diary that very same day, meaning that this is a future version of the diary that Rudy himself was about to write in. Anyway, this doomed future tells of a future where Rudy loses everything and everyone he came to love in this new world. His wives, his children, his friends, and everything else. So, yeah, with this, Rudy has to figure out what exactly he can do, and, well, the Man God he didn't exactly trust, but at least didn't consider a major threat, is an enemy that he can't exactly fight, and how he has to overcome this monumental threat to himself and his loved ones. So, what could the Man God have a reason for killing Rudy? Or at least killing Rudy and leading to this doomed future? Well, the Man God obviously has foretelling abilities, or can see the future, and he foretells the future where one of Rudy's descendants comes to kill him. In particular, a descendant of Rudy and Roxy, which is why he wanted to prevent her from having his child. And if you look at the series, something he actually missed to have been doing is that he's actively been trying his best to keep Rudy and Roxy apart. Yeah, Rudy and Roxy had a number of near misses from each other throughout the course of the series, and they were all caused by Man God and Rudy following Man God's advice, such as in the port town, or hell, even Rudy meeting Rigid in the first place, as him being traveling with a spirit scared Roxy enough that she didn't want to go nearby. So yeah, we have at least 2 near misses on a demon continent alone from Rudy following the Man God's instructions and missing out on meeting Roxy. So again, how do you fight someone that you can't touch, you don't know their location, and they can see the future? Well, you really can't. So Rudy has to make a demand. He has to basically beg the Man God to not attack his family and promise that he'll do anything that he requires. And the Man God has only one demand, and that is to kill Orsted. Orsted being the man who killed Rudy for about 5 minutes before he brought him back all those years ago, and Orsted being the one who will eventually lead to the Man God's death. So basically the bulk of the volume is preparing for the boss fight. Yeah, Rudy essentially has to prepare new weapons, new strategies, and all this kind of stuff to prepare for a big fight against Orsted, making a magic-powered suit of armor, getting various poisons, developing new weapons so he can fight against one man who's practically invincible. And it is a kick-ass fight. It's a fight where Rudy has to give it his all, and Orsted in turn is way scarier than what we briefly saw of him way back when. Like, he was scary before, but he is scarier now. Oh, it is terrifying. I should also mention that we get the return of a certain little redhead, well, not so little anymore, in Eris, who finally comes back after being away for 5 years training and is now a skilled warrior, and takes her return to fight Orsted. And, well, the awkwardness of finding out the man that she struggled for 5 years to be equal to is now married with 2 kids, and married with 2 wives, has a kid, and might be having a second kid soon. Yeah, that's awkward as shit. We have a few chapters focusing on this and how this is a really weird and interesting situation she's found herself in. As she's someone who's lived only for combat for the past 5 years, and now has to figure out how does she fit into domestic life, and how does she exactly, figure out how to live when she's only good at slinging around a sword. So yeah, obviously it's not all get ready for the big boss fight. There's some smaller stuff here and there, such as Mushoku Tensei's way, and it works in both cases. So I gotta say, Volume 15 is one of my favorites in a long while with this series. Like I said, 13 and 14, they were good. 13 felt like it was slow pace for a bit. 14 was pretty good, but it was a big emotional beat. 15 was all been leading up to, baby, and I am down for it. I am absolutely in love with this volume. The fight between Rudy and Orsted, as I said, is fucking great. Like, if the anime, but season 3 gets to this fight, people were blown away by the Orsted fight in season 1. Season when this fight goes down in season 3, because I don't imagine season 2 will be able to get to this. I mean, prove me wrong, season 2. Please prove me wrong that you can get to this fight, but I don't think you will. But once this fight goes down, this will be the biggest shit. The animation, oh my god, I can picture it now, and it is godly. I am very much looking forward to it whenever this fight gets animated, if we ever get to animate it. And please let it get animated. It would be a shame if this fight never gets animated. That would be a mistake. But yeah, outside of just the fight, also the domestic stuff is pretty cool. Seeing Rudy actually talking to Orsted and learning out some pretty deep lore cut stuff here, which is pretty cool. And also, the stuff with Eris, as I stated, is a highlight for me personally. I like Eris. She's essentially the Charmander for this series. To use an analogy that everyone uses between the hair colors of the girls, although our green is now white, so that wouldn't really work. Anyway, it does. It is a good. And honestly speaking, I finished reading this volume in a single day. It was just that good. I could barely contain myself from reading chapter after chapter. And I was just hooked on the whole thing from beginning to end. It just was a fun, emotional, and towards the end of it, funny ride. And that's what I look for in a good story. And Mushoku Tensei did all that in one book, and I'm really happy with it. Well, it's a relatively short book too, because it's a light novel, and I'm really happy that we got what we got out of it. So yeah, again, really hope this part gets animated, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this will look like if and when it gets animated. And if you're reading Mushoku Tensei, Volume 15 is the biggest shit. Apparently there are only 11 more volumes of the series to go, because apparently it's ending in Volume 26. I look forward to getting there. And if you're not reading Mushoku Tensei and you want some good light novels to read, I highly recommend, especially Volume 15. I mean, you got a lot of build-up to get to, but man, is it worth it. Until next time, everybody.